Hey everybody, Olive the Otter and I are back to read one of my favorite new books with you. It's called The Princess and the Fog. It's written by this man named Lloyd Jones. And this book is about what it's like to experience and what to do when we feel like a fog comes over us. I know my video might be a little blurry. I'm hoping it's okay on your end and it clears up. But if I move this closer to the camera, you can see the king, the queen, and then the princess, who's the main character in this story. And she has this dark cloud, the fog above her head. We're going to be able to learn a lot more about that and see it clearly in the story. But before we start, I wanted to show you all this sweater that I chose to wear. And I wore it on purpose today. It says Radiate Positivity. I love this sweater because it's a reminder for me to do my best and to be happy and share that happiness with other people. But the reality is that we're not happy all the time, and that is totally okay. And so this book is what it is like when it's really hard to access that happiness and to radiate the positivity. So without further ado, Olive and I are going to read The Princess and the Fog to you. Once upon a time, there was a princess. And this is her whole kingdom, her whole domain. You can see the mountains, the city, and then here she is in a tower in her castle overlooking everything. She loved to read. She loved to play outside with her friends. She loved school. She loved to ride her horses. She loved her loyal subjects. She loved her mom and dad, the king and queen. She was loved by all in turn, for she was smart, beautiful, brave, honest, and kind. She had everything a little girl could ever want, and she was happy. That is, until the fog came. It happened slowly, so slowly that nobody really noticed at first. One by one, the strange dark clouds came to the princess, following her and gradually gathering around her head. As time went on, it got worse and worse. The clouds kept gathering and growing. And you can see here these portraits, probably a royal portrait that got painted of her every year. This one, she's all happy and normal. This one, you can see the little fog. And as it goes on, the cloud starts taking over more and more. Eventually, her whole head was surrounded by a deep, dark fog that she could hardly see out of anymore. But still, nobody noticed. She started to feel completely alone, even when she wasn't. The fog made the princess feel slow, sad, and tired. She had trouble concentrating on or doing even the simplest of things. Suddenly, everything seemed really difficult. Remember at the beginning of the story, it said that one of her favorite things was riding horses? I'm guessing since she's a princess, she probably is like a master horse rider. And here, though, we're seeing that she's having difficulty even like tying this simple knot that she needs to be safe to ride. And her horse is like, huh, what's going on? You don't know how to do this? That's because the fog is making everything difficult for her, even the things that used to be really easy and simple. All the things she used to love to do, she suddenly just didn't feel like doing anymore. She doesn't want to read those stacks of books, even though books are one of her favorite things. So she just stopped doing them. Finally, the king and queen began to see the fog. They wanted to help the princess, but they didn't know how. They tried to get rid of the fog, but it just would not go away. So they have this huge fan. They're trying to blow the fog away. They get a huge eraser. They're trying to erase the fog. None of it's working. The king and queen just wanted the princess to be happy, but nothing could stop her from feeling sad. They didn't know what to do, but they kept trying. So you can see at the top, they're trying to give her presents. No, that's not making the fog go away. They're making all these lists. Queen is writing notes. They're all crumpled down there at the bottom. Nothing they can do is helping. One day, a friend from school came to the castle to ask the princess if she wanted to go out and play. Sarah just got a new basketball. You want to play? But the princess didn't feel like playing. No, she didn't feel like doing anything. The next day, her friend came to the castle again to ask the princess if she wanted to read comics together. The new issue of Squid Boy and Clam Lad came out today. But the princess, she didn't feel like reading comics. She didn't feel like doing anything. No. And here the queen is holding a picture of her smiling over her face, but you can still see the fog behind her. And I bet if that photo wasn't there, we'd really see her frowning. The day after that, her friend came back again to ask the princess if she wanted to watch some TV together. There's a really good episode of, but the princess didn't feel like watching TV. No. So her friend asked the princess if she wanted to talk instead. At first, the princess wasn't sure. She found it difficult and she really didn't know what to say. But little by little, she began to talk. The princess found that the more she talked about the fog, the better she actually felt. So they talked and talked and talked. They talked all night, but she still had more to say. She talked to her other friends, and she talked to her parents. She talked to her teacher, and anyone who would listen, including her horse. Some just listened, but some had similar things to say. Some of them even had ideas of ways that they could help her. Her teacher told her to go see the adventurers who took her exploring in the fresh air and the sunshine. They also helped her set daily challenges for herself. Completing a challenge every day helped her to feel healthier and happier. So rather than just sitting around all day in her big comfy armchair throne, she's getting out and she's climbing mountains. The fog, though, you can see still there. The king and queen took her to see the castle druid, which is kind of like an old-fashioned word for a doctor. They talked about the fog, and he brewed up some potions for her to try. Her friends told her about the 1,000-year-old wise woman who told her that fog like this had been seen in the kingdom before. It often followed people who felt sad or lonely or who had been treated badly. But sometimes it came for no obvious reason at all. It isn't easy to make the fog go away, but it helps to talk about it and do the things that make you feel happy. So this 1,000-year-old wise woman is looking through all her books. She's telling her the history of the land, and the princess is learning that she's not the only one who's felt the fog before. The princess had no idea there were so many people in her life who would be willing to help her, or even just listen to her when she needed to talk. Suddenly, she didn't feel so alone anymore. With all the help and support of the people of the kingdom, the fog started to disappear bit by bit, just as gradually as it had come. So there it is. This is probably the castle turret where she lives, and it's floating out the window, moving on out of her life. Things started to go back to normal after that. Everyone was happy to see the princess back to her old self again. But that's not the end of the story. Every now and then, the dark clouds would start to come back. But when they did, she knew where to turn. So this time, when the fog comes back, she's already experienced it that one time when it just like took over her whole life and she didn't know what to do. But now she has this whole network of support, all these people, the adventurers, her mom and dad, her friends, the wise woman, the druid, everybody there on her team to help her when the fog comes back. And that's the official end of the story, but I wanted to show you another part, which I thought was really cool, and it's right at the beginning. So Lloyd Jones is the name of the man who wrote this book, and this is the description. You'll often find this in a book. It's really cool. He wrote and illustrated the story, which makes him extra unique, and this is what it says about him, and I'm guessing this is a picture he drew of himself. Lloyd Jones is a silly man with a silly beard who lives in the south of England with his fiancée Hannah, to whom this book is dedicated. He has learned to live with his fog rather than suffer from it. More of his work can be seen at lloydjonesillustration.com. So you can go to that website to see other work that he's done. But what I found really unique is that he didn't just draw or take a picture of him smiling, radiating positivity as you normally see people doing in pictures when they write books and are being featured. But he drew a picture of himself with the fog. And it even says here that he's learned to live with his fog rather than suffer from it. And I thought that that was really brave of him to share that it's not just a made-up story with a princess of the fog coming and going, but it's his life story that sometimes the fog comes and visits him too. And I know in my personal experience, I've had the fog come and go in my own life, and it's already visited me one time during the school closure, during these 3 weeks that we've been at home. And I'm guessing it's probably going to come back sometime as the school closure continues. And I wanted to share this book with you, Olive and I did, because I'm guessing that the fog has visited some of you already. And if it hasn't, it might come and visit you in the future. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying it in a way to let you know that it's human to feel the fog, that this is a weird time. None of us have ever experienced something like this before. And so we're going to experience and feel things that might be bigger than how we've experienced them before. Or maybe we felt the fog before school closed and we haven't yet, or we are now and it just feels different, or it could be the same. Either way, I really like how the princess at the end of the story, it wasn't like everything's happy and great again and the fog never came back. The very real reality is that the fog did come back sometimes, but she knew how to deal with it. And so this week in my newsletter, the Auter Times, it's all about recognizing and identifying the feelings and thoughts that we're experiencing and what to do it. The fog is not bad, but we don't want to live in the fog. And so there are going to be some tips and ideas and activities for you as an individual or with your family, what you can do, just like the princess learned what she could do to help make that fog go away. I hope this is helpful for you. And until next time, I hope that you are well. I hope that you enjoy the time at home. We have one more week until spring break, and we will connect again. I'm going to make a newsletter next week going into spring break, and then we'll keep on being together. We are in this together, even though we're not interacting right now. It's really special for me to be able to connect with you and Olive by my side. So I know I'm talking and talking, so I'll end the video, but I hope that you enjoyed The Princess in the Fog, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.